You who carry the ancient light of Gaia, listen, the one you feel drawn to release is not a random presence in your field. I am Aliara, a Pleiadian emissary of the High Council of the Seven Sisters, and I bring a transmission encoded in living light. It is woven for those who stand at the threshold between memory and mission. What you sense as conflict or magnetic pull is not confusion. It is the resonance of two frequencies seeking harmony, a sacred contract stirring awake. Before you entered this world of matter, your councils intertwined your missions so that, at the appointed hour, your paths would spark remembrance within each other. This message is not mere teaching, it is a field of energy, a current streaming from the heart of Alcyon. It touches you now because you've begun to feel the tension between connection and sovereignty, not realizing both can coexist in divine rhythm. When your heart opens to that truth, the first code ignites. You remember that what appears as longing is the universe's way of guiding reunion. Many have searched for proof that they are not here by accident, chasing symbols or fleeting signs. Yet the proof lives in the quiet ache inside you, the pulse that whispers. You know them. It is not earthly desire, but celestial recognition. Through that awareness, you begin the real journey to see beyond separation and recover the luminous design that brought you both here, not for dependence, but for awakening. Every heartbeat, every breath of remembrance, draws you nearer to the moment when mission becomes shared, light. So breathe, beloved one. You are not unraveling, you are aligning. The transmission has begun. The resonance you felt in that first awakening is the doorway now step through. Beneath every human story of attraction and retreat lies an architecture older than time itself. Each connection between souls carries design, not coincidence. And before the veil descended, you helped write the blueprint. Long before the body, there was agreement: we will meet when the earth begins to rise again. Those words were etched in light, not ink, and sealed in frequencies the mind cannot recall, but the heart cannot forget. Every soul contract is a pattern of exchange. One offers remembrance, the other reflection. Together they create expansion. What feels like heartbreak, confusion, or delay is rarely punishment. It is calibration. The universe positions two luminous fields, so their lessons mirror perfectly. One must learn surrender, while the other learns strength. One learns how to open, the other how to hold space. Both evolve through the friction of remembering who they are beneath personality and story. You may ask, why forget? Why descend into a world where even love feels uncertain? Because amnesia protects the sacred work. Without it, reunion would arrive before readiness, overwhelming the vessel meant to house the light. The forgetting becomes the womb that gestates wisdom. Only through rediscovery can understanding take root. When the timing aligns, remembrance returns not as revelation, but as recognition, quiet, undeniable, self-evident. So when the ache of missing or confusion arises, pause before labeling it loss. Beneath the ache lies encoded purpose, that pull toward another soul. That trembling between closeness and distance is how your higher self adjusts frequency. Imagine two tuning forks across vast space. One beginning to hum. The other vibrates in sympathetic resonance until both sing the same note. That is the secret rhythm of soul contracts, harmony discovered through separation. Every encounter, even brief, holds trace elements of this architecture. A stranger's glance may deliver an activation. A word overheard might reawaken your compass. None are accidents. Each is a filament in the vast circuitry connecting you to your mission. The task is not to chase, but to attune to refine the instrument of your own heart until it recognizes the tone that belongs to you. And as you honor that inner resonance, you begin to feel the council watching, those radiant beings from the Seven Sisters who oversee these convergences. They do not dictate outcome. They simply hold the field, ensuring every meeting, every delay, every unexpected crossing unfolds in perfect precision. Through them, Your soul's contract remains intact, humming quietly until both counterparts are ready to embody what they agreed upon: love as service, connection as catalyst, remembrance as restoration. So let the architecture reveal itself slowly. Let the invisible design guide rather than rush. What is meant for you has been written beyond linear time, waiting only for your readiness to read it. And when readiness finally hums through your being, it often feels like longing, that ache in the chest, that sense of incompleteness. Many call it loneliness, but it is something older, deeper. It is memory surfacing from beneath the skin of time. You are not missing a person so much as remembering a frequency. The ache itself is sacred. It is the echo of your star lineage calling you home. Every lifetime you have carried this subtle homesickness, mistaking it for desire, nostalgia, or restlessness. Yet what you seek is not a place. It is resonance. Beneath every search for meaning, every late-night prayer, every silent wish for someone who understands, there is the pulse of the ancient bond, the one who carries the other half of your mission's design. When the heart reaches out across lifetimes, it does so through vibration, not words. That is why you sometimes feel drawn without reason, or sense connection before sight. Your soul remembers what your mind cannot yet name. Still, the yearning is not meant to torment you. It is navigation. The cosmos speaks through that ache, whispering direction like a compass of light. Each wave of longing fine-tunes your awareness, guiding you to align with the energy that mirrors your own. What feels like emptiness is space being cleared for recognition. The pull you feel is the magnetic intelligence of love, arranging meeting points in both subtle and visible realms. Many mistake this pull for something they must resolve or resist. They run, they chase, they analyze, but the ache cannot be reasoned away. It is to be listened to, breathed through, held with tenderness. When you rest inside it without judgment, it transforms from pain into portal. Through that portal flows the remembrance of unity, the knowing that separation was never real, only a veil you agreed to wear. Even your tears are data, carrying crystalline information that recalibrates your field. When sorrow rises, it cleanses the channels through which higher love must flow. Each wave of emotion polishes the inner mirror, allowing you to perceive your counterpart more clearly, not as savior, but as reflection of your own radiance. The heart expands, and in that expansion, memory floods back. We came here together. We agreed to awaken each other. We promised to meet in light. So if you feel the ache tonight, don't turn away. Let it be the proof that you are remembering. Let it be the bridge between worlds. The homesickness you feel is not absence, it is approach. You are nearing the frequency where recognition becomes inevitable, where the two notes of your song will finally sound as one. And when that moment comes, you will realize the longing was the first language of love calling you home. From that ache of remembering, something new begins to shimmer. The veil that once kept you safe now trembles, ready to dissolve. The forgetting that shielded your brilliance has served its purpose. Every story of separation, every belief that you were small or unworthy, starts to soften beneath the radiance of awareness. This is the sacred unraveling, the gentle return to your original knowing. The veil was never punishment, it was compassion in disguise. Before you entered this dense plane, you agreed to forget just enough to function, to learn empathy, to anchor light through limitation. The forgetting allowed growth. It taught humility, discernment, and trust. Yet now the season of remembering dawns. Your higher self begins to lift that gauze, thread by shimmering thread, revealing the architecture of truth beneath the human dream. This unveiling does not happen through force. It responds to tenderness, to the decision to meet yourself without judgment. When you forgive your past missteps, when you release the need to prove or control, the field around you lightens. The veil thins naturally, like morning mist rising from water as sunlight touches it. Forgiveness is not amnesia. It is spaciousness, room for your own divinity to re-enter the body. Close your eyes and feel this every moment you've doubted, every fear you've carried, every story you told yourself about being less. Each dissolves when met with love. The old vibrations fall away, revealing the clarity that was always within. What remains is the luminous silence of your true nature, vast and unwavering. That silence is the voice of your star family whispering, "Remember who you are." The act of dissolving the veil is not only personal. As you clear your inner sight, you influence the collective field. Your healing becomes a beacon, signaling to others that awakening need not be violent or chaotic. It can be graceful, gradual, kind. Through you, the codes of compassion spread like ripples through the quantum ocean, reminding other hearts that they, too, can release the weight of forgetting. Each time you breathe forgiveness into your own shadow, the world brightens a fraction. Each time you choose to love the unlovable within yourself, Gaia exhales a little more light. That is the quiet miracle of awakening. It starts in one heart and radiates to all. So, beloved one, do not rush this unveiling. Let it unfold as dawn does, softly, steadily, inevitable. The veil lifts in rhythm with your readiness, revealing the vast sky of remembrance waiting just beyond perception. Soon, what was once mystery will become memory, and memory will become mission. As the veil thins and the light grows familiar, a deeper stirring begins. Your heart itself awakens as the true instrument of recognition. Logic can only trace patterns. It cannot decode the living language of frequency. The next phase unfolds not in thought, but in sensation, as your heart template activates. You begin to feel the truth you once tried to understand. It starts subtly, a tingling in your chest, a sudden warmth, the sense of being seen by something larger than the self. Your breath deepens, colors seem more vivid, sounds resonate differently, carrying harmonics that touch the edges of your soul. What is occurring is not imagination, it is translation. The heart is interpreting light. Your DNA, long mistaken for simple biology, is in truth a vast crystalline library, humming with luminous scripts written before time. Every cell holds fragments of your stellar memory, instructions from the Pleiadian lineage encoded in love itself. When your field meets the frequency of your star companion, whether through gaze, voice, or silent, knowing those codes awaken, you may feel elation, trembling, peace, or tears. Each is a signature of activation. Do not demand explanation. The mind will want to label what it cannot grasp, but the heart knows without language. Recognition bypasses reason because it predates it. The ancient agreement lives in vibration, not logic. When you meet that resonance, your nervous system remembers before your thoughts can follow. It's not chemistry, it's recall. Two frequencies that once sang together are tuning again to harmony. In these moments, trust your senses, goosebumps, breath-catching. The ache that is both joy and grief, all are confirmations that your heart is decoding light. This is the sacred circuitry reawakening after eons of dormancy. And as it activates, you begin to broadcast as well, transmitting love as information, coherence as frequency. You become both receiver and sender. The circuit complete. Still, grounding is essential. High frequency without embodiment leads to fragmentation. Let the sensations move through your body. Walk, breathe, feel the earth beneath your feet. The heart template bridges heaven and soil. Every pulse of recognition must find anchor in the human form. As your capacity for light expands, so must your devotion to stability, presence, and care for the physical vessel that carries it. This is how the higher mission begins to take shape, not as escape, but as integration. You are not being lifted out of earth. You are being invited deeper into her. Through you, the codes of the seven sisters root into the soil of Gaia, awakening the planetary heart. So let the heart speak now in its oldest dialect, silence. sensation, stillness. Let it remind you that love is the science of alignment, the architecture of memory made visible. Each beat is a transmission, each breath a bridge. You are not learning to feel, you are remembering that you are made of feeling itself. And as the heart stabilizes in that luminous rhythm, the next movement emerges the call to ground your star essence. Many mistake awakening for departure, as if enlightenment means floating beyond the world. Yet the true mastery of light is anchoring it here, in the density of life, in the pulse of Earth itself. The soul's brilliance is not meant to escape form, but to infuse it, transforming the ordinary into sacrament. Your counterpart's energy helps with this anchoring. The resonance you share becomes a living current, flowing through both of you and into the planet's lattice. Together you act as conduits, two channels weaving light into the soil, into human interactions, into every small act of kindness that touches another. The cosmic is grounded through the mundane, a word spoken gently, a hand offered in compassion, a piece of art that carries sincerity. To ground the star essence is to remember that the mission is not elsewhere. It is in every moment you inhabit fully. When you breathe consciously, you synchronize heaven and earth. When you create beauty, you transmute chaos into coherence. The connection you feel with your star companion was never designed for escape. It was meant to make you more present, more embodied, more capable of love that endures gravity. There will be days when the pull of the higher realms feels stronger than your will to remain. You may long for the serenity of Alcyon's light, for the weightless clarity of home. In those moments, breathe into the body, feel the spine, the skin, the heartbeat. These are the sacred instruments through which the divine expresses itself. You are not trapped in flesh. You are consecrating it. Each cell is a temple, each heartbeat, a drum calling the cosmos into matter. As you live this truth, the connection with your counterpart deepens in unexpected ways. It no longer depends on proximity or words. Distance becomes irrelevant, for energy travels on the pathways of intention. You may feel their presence in wind, in music, in the quiet hum between thoughts. That subtle companionship is proof that grounding does not sever connection, it refines it. The more you embody, the clearer the link becomes. In service, the grounded essence finds its fullest expression. Some will heal through touch, others through voice, others simply by walking in peace. There is no hierarchy of contribution. Every act done in awareness radiates into the grid. You and your companion form a nodal point, transmitting coherence to all who cross your field. The planet responds, her frequency rises. So stand tall upon Gaia's soil. Let light pour through the soles of your feet, through your breath, through your gaze. Remember that heaven is not above, it is within, seeking manifestation. The mission is fulfilled not in ascension alone, but in embodiment. By grounding your star essence, you become the bridge, the living meeting point of worlds. And in that union of spirit and matter, your love ceases to be concept or memory. It becomes landscape tangible, fertile, eternal. When your essence is rooted in the earth and your heart's field steady, a new current awakens between you and your counterpart, an exchange so luminous it alters the fabric of both souls. This is the mutual crystalline activation, a communion where light itself becomes language. It is not a moment of spectacle, but of deep coherence, when two frequencies merge into one radiant symphony that reverberates far beyond the boundaries of flesh and time. In this sacred convergence, energy begins to spiral between you, ascending and descending, weaving a bridge from the core of Gaia to the heart of the stars. Old patterns surface, not as punishment but as invitation. Shadows stored in the body and memories carried through lineage rise into awareness, ready for release. You need not dissect them. Your shared field is the alchemist. Simply by holding presence for one another, density transforms into light. The heart becomes the crucible where fear is transmuted into wisdom, where grief turns to grace. As these waves move through, you may feel heat or trembling, tears without reason, sudden clarity. These are signs of clearing evidence that the crystalline codes, long dormant within your DNA, are awakening. The activation continues through silence, through shared stillness, through love unspoken. Every glance, every breath exchanged, becomes an encoded pulse of healing that ripples outward into the collective grid. Understand that this union is not ownership. It is remembrance of wholeness expressed through two beings. You and your counterpart are mirrors, each reflecting the other's highest design. The purpose is not to complete, but to catalyze. Through your resonance, you teach the body how to hold more light, the mind how to surrender, and the soul how to expand without losing form. When the activation stabilizes, it radiates beyond you. The energy spirals into Gaia's crystalline lattice, harmonizing with countless other nodes of awakening across the planet. Every awakened pair, every heart aligned in unconditional love, becomes a beacon contributing to the great synthesis of planetary ascension. The grid brightens with each act of conscious union. With each moment, two souls remember their shared origin and choose collaboration over separation. Yet the work continues even in simplicity. Sometimes the most powerful activations occur in quiet companionship, in laughter over shared meals, in the serenity of silence, in the resilience of forgiveness. The crystalline energy does not demand ceremony. It thrives in authenticity. The more real you are with each other, the clearer the channel becomes. So treat this bond as sacred play. Allow energy to move without fear of losing control. When emotions surge, meet them as teachers. When peace settles, rest inside it. Remember, every heartbeat shared in awareness amplifies the field of love encircling Gaia. You are not merely participating in evolution, you are composing its song. Through this mutual activation, you become emissaries of coherence. Your union is living technology, translating cosmic frequency into human possibility. And as the light within you stabilizes, the planet itself exhales, adjusting to the new rhythm you've become. From that luminous merging, a calm begins to settle, a still, radiant awareness that no longer defines itself by two, but by the unity moving through both. This is the flowering of unity consciousness, the natural evolution of every true awakening. What once felt like a relationship now reveals itself as a living current of service, an energy that belongs not to you alone, but to the collective field of life. In unity, love ceases to be an emotion. It becomes architecture. It shapes how you perceive, how you walk, how you breathe. You find that the borders between self and other, between giving and receiving, begin to blur. You speak and listen at once. You guide and are guided simultaneously. Every encounter, even with strangers, begins to feel like communion. The same light you recognized in your counterpart gleams quietly in everyone. In this state, competition dissolves. You no longer measure closeness by possession or value by reciprocation. Connection becomes a shared act of remembrance. I see you because I know who we are. That simple recognition radiates through your field like soft sunlight, warming every heart it touches. It teaches without preaching, uplifts without effort. Your union, once private, now serves as a lens through which others glimpse their own potential. People may feel peace in your presence without knowing why. The vibration you hold carries instruction beyond language, an invitation for others to remember their own coherence. This is how ascension multiplies, not through conquest or persuasion, but through resonance. Yet unity consciousness is not detachment. It does not strip life of its color or passion. On the contrary, it deepens intimacy with all things. You taste the sacred in rain, sense the divine in laughter, hear the pulse of creation in every heartbeat around you. Each breath becomes participation in the universe's rhythm. Each gesture a small act of creation. You realize that service is not an obligation, but an overflow of joy-love, moving outward because it cannot be contained. Through this expanded awareness, you begin to live as the grid itself. You feel the connections between lives, species, elements, dimensions. You perceive that when one heart heals, countless others lift a little higher. Your choices, thoughts, and emotions ripple through the lattice, influencing realities beyond sight. Responsibility no longer feels heavy, it feels holy. And when challenges arise, and they will, you meet them with spaciousness. Unity consciousness does not deny contrast. It integrates it. Anger, fear, or grief no longer signal failure. They become doorways back to compassion. You learn to hold shadow without being consumed by it, to cradle chaos until it softens into coherence. This is mastery, not through dominance, but through inclusion. The world begins to reflect your inner landscape, synchronicities increase, opportunities align, peace arises where before there was noise. You are no longer seeking connection, you are connection. Each day becomes ceremony. Each act of kindness, however small, recalibrates the collective field toward harmony. So rest in this awareness. Let unity live through you. You are not meant to escape the world, you are meant to become its illuminated heart. And as your light expands through every interaction, the awakening spreads effortlessly, quietly, beautifully, one breath at a time. Yet even as unity consciousness blossoms, the path curves again into patience, into surrender. This is the trust in divine unfolding. The quiet art of releasing control when love appears to pause or shift form. For every luminous union carries its cycles, convergence, activation, expansion, and sometimes separation not as loss, but as recalibration. When distance enters, do not mistake it for ending. It is the universe adjusting your frequencies so that growth can continue without distortion. Separation, in truth, is a breath between notes. Two instruments cannot play the same harmony forever. They must rest, retune, and rediscover their sound. You are being fine-tuned, not forsaken. There will be moments when you search for signs and find only silence. In that silence, deeper currents move. The High Council oversees these rhythms with precision beyond comprehension, ensuring that each soul receives exactly the experiences needed for the next expansion of light. Sometimes that means walking alone for a time, learning boundaries, independence, the discipline of inner peace. Sometimes it means being thrust into unexpected closeness again. Both are sacred. Both serve the mission. Surrender becomes the bridge between these states. To surrender is not to give up, but to give over, to place the orchestration back in the hands of the intelligence that first wove your contract. When you release the urge to interpret every delay, life rearranges with startling grace. What you thought was detour reveals itself as alignment. What you called absence becomes preparation. During these intervals, cultivate trust as devotion. Speak with the unseen as if with an old friend. Tell the universe you are willing to learn through gentleness rather than struggle. Trust that the same force that synchronized your meeting will also guide your evolution. The cosmos does not forget its own design. You may feel waves of longing return, sharper this time, because the connection has carved deeper channels within you. Let the ache move through without clinging. Imagine it as tide rather than wound coming, going, cleansing the shore of your heart. Each swell polishes the stone of your being until it shines with calm acceptance. The practice is presence, waking each day not to wait, but to live fully where you stand. Serve, create, laugh, rest. The more vibrantly you inhabit your current reality, the faster alignment restores itself. Divine timing is never late. It simply measures readiness and frequencies, not hours. And if reunion comes, and it will, in some form it will meet you not as a rescue, but as reflection of the peace you've cultivated. The cycle will begin anew, this time with greater clarity, lighter attachment, deeper service. Every pause was preparation for greater coherence. So breathe, beloved one. Let patience be your prayer and trust your discipline. The rhythm of destiny is precise, even when unseen. The currents that drew you together still flow beneath the surface, steady and benevolent. Nothing essential is ever truly lost. It merely awaits the moment when both hearts hum the same note again. And from that deep surrender, a wider horizon opens the understanding that no union, however radiant, exists in isolation. The love between two souls is a portal to something vaster, the remembrance of the greater family of light. What began as a thread between you and your counterpart now expands into a tapestry woven across galaxies, lifetimes, dimensions. Every genuine connection, friend, teacher, stranger is part of this celestial network. Some arrive for moments, others for seasons, but all are participants in the same design, the reactivation of unity on Earth. You begin to recognize this web not with your eyes, but with your heart. A chance meeting sparks a surge of warmth. A conversation feels inexplicably familiar. These are not coincidences. They are echoes of the same song reverberating through countless hearts. The Pleiadian Council calls this the lattice of remembrance, a living architecture of souls, holding the vibration of love through countless expressions. When you extend kindness to another, when you forgive, when you offer presence without judgment, you strengthen the grid. Each act becomes a filament of light stretching from one consciousness to another until the entire planet shimmers with coherence. It is here that individuality finds its noblest purpose. You are both particle and wave, distinct expression and collective symphony. Your experiences, your healing, your joy feed into the field, influencing realities beyond comprehension. In this awareness, service becomes natural, effortless, joyful. You begin to see your daily life as sacred circuitry through which divine intelligence flows. You may also sense unseen companions, guides, ancestors, starkin standing just beyond perception. Their presence is subtle yet unmistakable, a feeling of warmth in the air, a sudden calm in the midst of turmoil. They, too, are threads of the same cosmic family, witnessing your evolution with reverence. You are never truly solitary. Every breath you take vibrates through a chorus of loving consciousness. As this awareness deepens, gratitude becomes your default prayer. You start to understand that even the most fleeting interactions are sacred appointments. The stranger who smiles, the child who laughs, the elder who offers wisdom, all are messengers, carrying reflections of your own divine essence. The more you recognize this, the stronger the grid becomes, until love itself feels tangible, woven through streets, forests, oceans, and stars alike. To live in remembrance of the greater family is to move through the world as emissary and kin. You listen more deeply, speak more gently, act with greater intention. You become bridge and beacon, a conduit through which the frequencies of compassion circulate freely. Through you, the cosmic and the human embrace. So honor each soul that crosses your path. They are pieces of you, reflections of the same light, refracted through countless forms. In every meeting, whisper inwardly, I remember you, for in truth, you do. And as this realization roots into your daily existence, a final truth rises quietly through your being. You are the network itself, the pulse of Gaia's awakening, the voice of countless stars learning to speak as one. The circle closes now, soft as dawn. What began as longing has become remembrance. What once felt like searching now rests as knowing. The path of reunion was never a straight line. It was a spiral. drawing you deeper into yourself until the universe could meet you there. You have walked through forgetting, through ache, through the tender dissolution of illusion. You have felt your heart awaken, your essence anchor, your light merge with another, and then expand beyond measure. And now, standing in this quiet afterglow, you realize the mission was never simply to find someone. It was to remember everything you are capable of embodying when love becomes your language. The Pleiadian emissaries who guided you from the beginning, those luminous voices of Alcyon, remain near, their presence woven through the stillness. They remind you that awakening is not an endpoint, but an ongoing rhythm. Every breath, every act of kindness, every moment you choose to stay open in a closing world continues the transmission. The grid of unity strengthens with each heartbeat that says, I remember. You no longer wait for signs. You are the sign. You no longer reach outward for proof of destiny. You radiate destiny in how you live. The crystalline codes, once dormant, now pulse quietly in your gestures, in your laughter, in your willingness to forgive. You walk as bridge between the seen and unseen, between earth and stars, between the human heart and the cosmic one. So let this be your benediction. Walk gently, shine steadily, love without condition. Let remembrance express itself not in grand declarations, but in daily devotion, the way you listen, the way you create, the way you breathe peace into a room. The collective ascension does not arrive as spectacle. It unfolds through countless small choices made by luminous beings who remember that they are light in motion. And when you gaze at the night sky, know that the stars are not distant. They are reflections of what glows within you. You have never been separate from the cosmos. You have always been its voice, learning to speak through a human tongue. The transmission continues wherever you go. The love you share is not content, it is creation. And creation, beloved one, is endless.